So grab your strap, unravel it, and then you'll crisscross it in front. So notice I have it starting right at the bottom part of the ribs from the back and wrapping all the way around to the front. Another way to find where we want to put the strap is to find your breastbone, your sternum, or the center of your chest, and kind of work your way down until you feel where the ribs kind of separate or they split off. And that's where you're going to put the strap, right at that part where it's about to split off. Okay? So once you have the strap securely in place, again, the strap is crisscrossed in the front, but you don't have to actually tie a knot, then you'll just hold onto it with your palms facing up. Close your eyes if that helps to draw your attention inward. Otherwise, you can just find a soft focus kind of gazing out in front of you. But just turn your attention in and you can just listen for my cues or how I'm guiding you through this. Take an inhale through the nose. And just notice how the strap gets a little looser around the rib cage. And then exhale out of your nose and notice how the strap gets a little tighter around the rib cage. Again, inhale. Exhale. As you continue breathing, notice that the shoulders are lifting up and down every single time you breathe. If that's happening, that's okay. There's no, right or wrong answer. It's just how you're breathing. But see if you can allow the shoulders to relax, because that can be a lot of strain on the shoulders that's unnecessary. And instead, visualize that the strap is a balloon. And as you inhale, you're inflating it or expanding that strap outward. And as you exhale, you're drawing the strap back inward, deflating it. Take a couple more cycles of breath. Notice if the expansion is only in the front, or maybe you only feel it in the front. Draw your awareness to the other parts, to the back, to the sides of your waist. And try as much as possible to create equal expansion and equal contraction. If it helps, find that visual in your mind of the balloon inflating and deflating. I like to call this a productive breath, meaning that we're not getting the lift and lower of the shoulders, right? We're not creating unnecessary strain of the upper traps and the muscles up higher just to breathe. But instead, we can actually allow the diaphragm at the top to drop downward as you inhale. And that's what creates that expansion. All your internal organs go out in all directions and down into the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, everything is drawing back in, right? The organs are drawing back in and up. Take 3 more cycles of breath. Last breath in and breath out. And then slowly blink your eyes open if they were closed. Unravel the strap and take it out in front of you. So remember how that felt as you're breathing, because it's really important, especially when we're doing a challenging pose like Chaturanga Dandasana. It's easy to hold the breath or forget that we're breathing all together. So you want to be able to maintain that even when we're moving through some challenging poses. All right, so let's warm up the shoulders a bit. So you're going to hold the strap out in front of you, about shoulder width distance apart, maybe a tad bit wider, but you want to make sure the strap is taut. So if the strap is just kind of hanging loose in front of you, you're not really going to get that activity in the shoulders that we want. So pull the strap apart. Good. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. If you have a bun or ponytail behind you, you might get a little bit messed up. But see if you can slide the strap straight behind your head. So it'll be hitting right along the back of your skull. And your arms should be right outside your ears. We want to avoid cranking the arms behind us and pushing the chest forward or dropping the head down. So again, strap behind your head and the elbows and arms are right by your side. Then press back up, inhale. Exhale, reach the strap forward like a cat pose, round your spine. And think about, again, tearing the strap apart. Now imagine your strap is a steering wheel. So you're going to turn it towards your right. I'm just doing the opposite of you so I can mirror you. But you're turning the steering wheel, imaginary steering wheel towards your right, and look under your left armpit. Imagine you're going to tear that strap apart. Come back to center, inhale. Exhale, turn your steering wheel towards the left, look under your right armpit. Keep tearing that strap apart. Come back to center. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, pull straight down behind your head. You'll probably notice right under the armpits, your lats really activating here. Reach back up, inhale. Exhale, reach in front of you, round your spine. Inhale here, hold. Imagine that steering wheel or that strap is a steering wheel. Turn it towards your right. Look under the left armpit. Come back to center, inhale. Exhale, rotate your steering wheel the other direction. So you're looking under your right armpit. Come back to center. Last time, inhale, reach up. Exhale, pull the strap straight behind your head, nice and active under your arms. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, reach forward, round your spine. Hold here, inhale. Exhale, turn your steering wheel towards your right. Look under the left armpit. Keep pulling that strap apart. Come back to center. Inhale. Exhale, turn your steering wheel towards your left. Come back to center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, release the strap. Let it all go. You can roll the shoulders out a couple times, forward, up, back and down. And then in the other direction, just kind of getting a sense for the shoulder blades gliding along the back of the rib cage. All right. The reason why we wanted to do that is to warm up the arms and the shoulders, of course, but also to teach that activation of your lats. We're going to reinforce that now. So go ahead and put your strap to the side. And just to make some room, I'm going to fold my mat a little bit at the top. And you can put your knees on the mat as well. That's just going to give you some extra cushioning. So grab your blanket. I'm just going to unfold my blanket a little bit wider so that way it's easier to slide and I have it about shoulder width distance apart. So I'm taking the strap the blanket right underneath me, and my knees stay over my hips stay over my knees. So I'm trying not to slide forward or sink my hips back. Everything is stable from the hips and down. Then from here, I'm only going as far as I can control, okay? So we want to start with the smaller range, and then we can always add on more. So on your inhale, you'll slide the strap forward or the blanket forward. On the exhale, you'll drag the blanket back. And I forgot to mention that if you don't have a wood floor or laminate floor, something that's going to slide easily underneath the blanket, you can always take paper plates underneath your hands and do it on the carpet. So again, you're going to slide the blanket forward and slide the blanket back. And I'm trying to get that activation right under the arms. Notice if the shoulders are kind of dropping or rather lifting up to your ears. You want to try to keep the shoulders pretty relaxed down so that we're not over activating through the traps, but we're starting to work the lats. Let's do that a couple more times. Slide the blanket forward, inhale. Drag it back on the exhale. Inhale, slide it forward. Exhale, slide it back. Notice if you're scooting your blanket backwards and trying to use momentum, instead see if you can use strength and control. Let's take 3 more. Slide it forward, inhale. Slide it back on the exhale. Forward, inhale. Back, exhale. Last time, forward and back. Good. Go ahead and set your blanket off to the side. We'll come back to it later. And if you have your mat folded up like me, just unfold it and grab one of your blocks. Take that block between your inner thighs, the skinniest setting, and you don't have to overly squeeze into the block, but we're just using it to give some external feedback, just like, we'd use the floor on our spine. So by having that block, it just allows you to tap into your inner thighs a bit more. So push the ground away just enough so you're not sinking into your shoulders. You're a bit more supported. Then step your feet back into a plank pose. Good. So this is already the first step for Chaturanga, right? We want to avoid sinking your hips down or piking the hips up. We want to stay in a nice, strong plank position. Take a breath in. On your exhale, you'll walk your hands to your feet at the back of the mat, trying to stabilize the pelvis. So we want to avoid swaying our hips from side to side. Then bend your knees. Inhale, lift halfway. So as you lift halfway, first just take your fingertips to your shins. Reach long through the top of the head, kind of like you're headbutting something, and the shoulders are going to draw down in opposition. You can stay here, or you can start to reach the arms back and get that same sense of activation under your arms. Fingertips reach back, pinkies draw together. Knees are lightly bent. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bend the knees and release your fingertips back down towards the mat. Inhale, rise to standing. And as you rise all the way up, see if you can lift high onto your tippy toes. So the reason why we're doing this is to get that calf raise, which is basically the lean forward in our Chaturanga. So again, arms up, heels up, firm into the block just to give you a little bit of extra support. Then exhale, lower the heels down, bend your knees, and fold all the way back down to the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, fingertips to your shins as you lengthen out through the top of the head, or fingertips reach back, pinkies draw together with your arms by your side. Exhale, bend the knees, plant your hands, crawl forward into your plank pose. Try as much as possible to stabilize your hips. Take a big breath in. Exhale, lower the knees down to the mat. Grab the top of your mat if you're lacking some space or you don't want to crawl forward, and then fold it. And you can just take your knees on top of that folded portion. Grab your blanket and take your blanket out in front of you. Again, you want to make sure that you have enough surface area to take your hands about shoulder width distance apart. This time, we're going to try something I like to call pec slides. So we're activating the muscles right in here. There's pec major and pec minor. We're getting into the pec major, maybe a little bit in pec minor, but that's more involved when we're reaching up. So from here, your hands are going to be about shoulder width distance apart, maybe a little wider. And you want to keep your hips over your knees to start, and then I'll give you the option to add on more. So hips over the knees, take a big breath in. Exhale, slide your hands together. Inhale, slide your hands apart. Exhale, slide your hands together. Now, if you're getting the hang of this, then you can make it a little bit more challenging. You'll slide your hips forward until you're in a modified plank pose. Basically plank, but without the knees lifted. And then you'll slide your hands apart. And as you exhale, you'll slide your hands together. Inhale, slide the hands apart. Exhale, slide the hands together. Last option, which is very, very challenging, considering we might still be warming up the body, right? Then you might want to keep the knees down. Otherwise, you'll lift your knees off the floor and you'll be in your full plank pose. Take a breath in. Exhale, slide your hands together. Inhale, slide your hands apart. All right, go ahead and rest back down. You can set your blanket off to the side and unfold your yoga mat. All right, let's try that one more time, the whole sequence. Okay, so hands onto the mat, tuck the toes under, lift your knees off the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale, walk your hands to your feet at the back of the mat. Bend your knees. Inhale, lift halfway. Fingertips to your shins, reach long through the top of the head. Take your arms by your side, fingertips reach back, pinkies together. Good. So I'm getting the same activation in the shoulders that we're eventually going to be using later. Inhale here. Exhale, fold, release your fingertips down. Inhale, rise all the way up. And as you reach the arms up, lift your heels up, hug into the block just enough till you feel supported. Exhale, lower the heels, bend your knees, and fold all the way back down. Lift halfway as you inhale, fingertips to your shins or arms by your side. Put a little bend in the knees. Think about tractioning your spine or lengthening through the top of the head as your fingertips drop backwards. Exhale, bend the knees, plant your hands, crawl forward into your plank pose. Again, try to stabilize your hips. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower the knees down. Fold the top of your mat if you need to. And then grab your blanket. Last time we're going to work with those pec slides. All right, so blanket again, folding it wide enough until I can take my hands onto it about shoulder width apart. Again, hips can stay over the knees. Hips can be in front of the knees, or you can lift your knees completely. I'm going to stay with option 1 today. Take a breath in. Exhale, slide your hands together. Slide the hands apart. Inhale. Slide your hands together. Exhale. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, slide it apart and slide it together. Good. Go ahead and set your blanket off to the side and take your block out from your inner thighs. You can fold or unfold your mat and then come back into your tabletop position. All right, so we want to prepare the wrists since we're going to be in that extended position quite a bit more. So turn your fingertips out to the sides and rock your body from side to side. And then turn your fingertips back towards your knees, palms face down. And if you find this is a little too much pressure on the wrist right now, then crawl your knees a little bit closer towards your fingertips. Circle your body in one direction, starting with small circles. You can always make them a little bigger as you go, and then take those circles in the other direction. Good, and then see if you can press down through your fingertips and knuckles, and see if you can lift your right palm off the floor, and then your left palm off the floor. Good, then have a seat, shake out the wrists, and circle them in one direction, and then the other direction. Good. So our wrists are going to be in that extended position, but we also want to get them going in the other direction. So you're going to take the backs of your hands, not your fingers, but the very backs of your palms to the sides of your ribs. So wrists are now in a flex position. Then from here, you can close your hands into a fist and then open your hands back up. And do that maybe 2 more times. And then release and circle the wrists in one direction and then circle the wrists in the other direction. Okay, so now we're going to add on from what we've already learned, what we've already applied. So come back into your tabletop position, press down into your fingertips and knuckles, and that's going to give you a little bit more lift out of the wrists and a little bit more lift out of the shoulders. Then step your feet back in your plank pose. So even though the block isn't there, still think about that idea of just hugging your inner thighs together a bit. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bend your knees, walk your hands to your feet at the back of the mat. As much as possible, try to steady your pelvis. Lift halfway, inhale, fingertips to your shins. Reach long through the top of your head. Again, you always have that option to take your arms by your side, palms down, pinkies together, fingertips back. Good. Exhale, fold all the way back down. Bend your knees like you're sitting in a chair. Now, you can take your feet together, but I personally find keeping feet about hips width distance apart is a little bit more supportive for the body. So bend your knees, sit your butt down, and then reach your arms up. Now, when you reach the arms up, if that puts a little bit too much strain on the lower back, you have 2 options that you can try. Option 1, draw one hand to the front of your ribs, the other hand to the back of your ribs, and think about drawing that hand in the front towards the hand in the back. And that's just going to create a little bit more length in the lower back. Second option is to just bring your hands to your chest so that you're not having to compensate from the lower back to take the arms up. So find what works for you. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Ground into your left foot. like you're trying to dig it into the floor. Lift your right knee up towards your chest. So you're in a one-legged Tadasana or one-legged mountain pose. You can always have the option and play with reaching the arms overhead. Take a big breath in. Bend your left knee and step your right foot to the top of your mat. Take your arms by your side like you did when you're in your halfway lift. Fingertips back, pinkies together. Now ground into your right foot and press off your left foot like you did when you were going for that calf raise. So on your inhale, you'll lean forward. Gently press off your left foot, and that's going to transfer the weight to the right foot. Exhale, rock back. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, lean forward. I'm transferring my weight to the right, pressing off the left. Exhale, rock back. Last time. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, rock backwards. Good. Inhale, bend your back knee and reach the arms up. And as you bend the back knee, that's just going to put a little or decrease any pressure on the lower back. Exhale, take your hands to the floor. Step your right foot back in your plank pose. Lower the knees to the floor and grab either your bolster or your sturdy pillow, whichever one works for you, and whichever one you have. So you'll take that pillow, the longer setting, and come back onto your hands and knees. So we're going to break down Chaturanga Dandasana in various steps and options. So first, we're not even going to go for that high plank to the push-up just yet. I want you to just lean forward and lie all the way down onto that bolster, all the way down on your belly. So you're basically going to pause at the halfway point, which for most people is the hardest part to hold there, instead of trying to rush through it just to get to upward facing dog. So you'll tuck the toes under, lifting your knees off the floor. So this is that dorsiflexion in the ankle, okay? And I'm getting a little bit more lift out of my thighs. And think about traction in your back. So it's very easy to kind of collapse in the lower back. So think about lengthening your tailbone towards your heels and reaching the crown of the head forward, just like your halfway lift. Hands will be, or rather wrists will be underneath your elbows. And instead of allowing the shoulders to roll forward and to collapse into the mat, roll your shoulders backwards, almost like you're trying to pull the crown of your head out of a turtle shell. And you'll get this bit of activation right under the arms as you do that. So we're holding in that halfway point. Take a breath in. Exhale, release. You can bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs a little bit from side to side. All right, press yourself back up and move the bolster off to the side. So now let's try that on the other side. So again, come into your plank pose. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bend the knees, walk your hands to your feet at the back of the mat. Try to steady the pelvis. Inhale, lift halfway, fingertips to your shins or arms by your side. Reach the fingertips back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose or Utkatasana. Sit your butt down and back. Reach the arms up. Now the tendency here is to sit all of the weight in the heels and to kind of lift the toes off the floor. And as we do that, we're kind of off balance, right? Or we are off balance. If someone were to try to push us over, we would fall. Of course, it's not something that's going to happen in a yoga class, but still, we want to try to find balance. So ground your weight in the middle of your feet as you sit your butt back. You'll probably notice you're a little bit more sturdy. Then arms can go up or hands can come to the chest. Again, really think about what you can do to support your lower back. Take a big breath in. Exhale, hands to your chest as you stand. Right foot is going to be your base now. Lift your left knee up. Then pause. Option to stay here. Option to reach the arms overhead. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bend your right knee. Step your left foot to the top of your mat and fly your arms by your side. Fingertips back, pinkies together. Transfer your weight to your left foot as you press off the right foot. Lean forward, inhale. Rock back, exhale. 2 more times. Lean forward, inhale. Rock back on the exhale. Last one, lean forward. Hold. Exhale, rock back. Bend your right knee, reach the arms up. Take a big breath in. Exhale, take your hands down, step your feet back, and lower your knees to the floor. Grab your bolster again. This time, I'll give you the option to either just work on lowering down onto the bolster and then holding at that halfway point, or we're gonna try lowering down with control. So you'll come into a modified plank pose, meaning both knees are to the ground, hands, or rather wrists are underneath your shoulders. So notice my knees are behind me. I'm not stacked truly with my hips over my knees. My hips are a little bit in front. Then from here, I'm still thinking plank, so my hips are not sinking down, my hips are not piping up, right in that plank position. Then I lean forward just a little bit. I bend the elbows and I lower down until I can rest onto the bolster. Once I'm rested down again, I want to avoid shoulders rounding forward. Shoulders draw back, press down through your hands. Maybe you lift your knees. And again, think about tractioning or lengthening your back. Good. Exhale, release. Let's try that again. Press yourself back up. Move the bolster off to the side. Okay, so we're gonna move through that little sequence one more time, and then we'll kind of add on to our chaturanga. So go ahead and tuck your toes under, come back into your plank pose. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bend the knees, walk your hands to your feet at the back of the mat. Lift halfway as you inhale, lengthen through the top of the head or fingertips by your side. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, inhale, chair pose. Sit your butt back and down. Ground your weight into the middle of your feet. Exhale as you stand. Left foot is your base. Right knee lifts up. Take a big breath in. Bend your left knee. Exhale, step your right foot forward. Fly your arms by your side. Ground into your right foot. Press off the left. Inhale, warrior three. Exhale, rock your weight back. 2 more times. Inhale, lean forward. Exhale, shift back. Last one, lean forward. Activate through the back of that right leg, the front of the right hip. Hold. And then rock your weight back. Inhale, bend your back knee, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, take your hands down. Step your feet back. Lower both knees to the floor and grab your bolster. So again, just adding on another section here. This time, I'll give you the option to lift one knee off the floor. We'll start with the right knee lifted. So hands down. I'm in kind of a half modified plank, half full plank, okay? So I have almost like a tripod, hands in my left knee. I lean forward, so I'm pressing off that right foot like a calf raise. I lower down with control until I feel like I'm supported with the bolster underneath me. Once I'm at that halfway point, I am pushing the crown of the head forward. I am drawing my shoulders down, elbows in. Maybe you lift both knees up. Exhale, release. Press yourself back up. Move the bolster to the side. And we're gonna move through that one more time on the left. So come back into your plank pose. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, walk your hands to your feet at the back of the mat. Bend your knees, inhale, lift halfway, fingertips to your shins as you lengthen through the top of the head or fingertips by your side, pinkies together. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees like you're sitting in a chair, but bring the weight into the middle of your feet so you're a bit more balanced. Sit your butt back, arms can go up, or again, hands can come to your chest. Take a breath in. Exhale, rise to standing, hands to your chest. This time, your right foot is your base, left knee lifts up. Flex your left toes towards your face in that dorsiflexion position and reach the arms overhead. Take a breath in. Bend your right knee, step your left foot forward, and take your arms by your side. Fingertips back, pinkies together. Ground into your left foot, press off the right foot. Inhale, lean forward, warrior three. Exhale, rock your weight back. 2 more times. Inhale, lean forward. Exhale, rock backwards. Last one, rock forward. Inhale. Hold on the exhale. Bend your right knee, step back. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Crescent lunge. Exhale, bend the knees, plant your hands, step into your plank pose. Lower the knees down, grab your bolster. So we already played with keeping the left knee down, right leg lifted. Now we're just going to switch sides. So hands down onto the mat. Right knee is down, left leg is lifted. So again, it's like that half plank pose or half modified, half regular. You'll rock your weight forward a little bit, bend the elbows, think chest forward, hands back, lower down until you're supported onto that bolster. Think about dragging your elbows back, your hands back. In opposition, crown the head reaches forward. Left leg is nice and active. Maybe you lift your right leg up as well, or right knee up rather. So you're a little bit more active through the legs. Take a breath in. Exhale, release. Hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself up. Move the bolster out of the way if you want to lie on your belly, or if you want to just come into a child's pose and maybe rest your hands onto the bolster. You can even take it a little bit in between your legs and then kind of rest down onto it. Reconnect with your breath in and out of your nose. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself back up. All right, so now we're gonna put all the pieces together and get that activation through the legs, the arms, trying to stabilize the center of the body, and really remembering everything that you've learned along the way. So again, you always have that option to modify one knee down, both knees down, and maybe just lowering down to that halfway point and pausing there and feeling the halfway point engagement. You can even pause the video if you want to go back or just kind of revisit all of the things that I talked about. So you're back in that plank pose and the bolster is underneath you. Lean forward, right? So there's that calf raise, inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows, think elbows and hands back, chest forward, lower down until you're supported onto that bolster. Keep drawing the elbows back, keep drawing the crown of the head forward. So it's like that halfway lift. I'm tractioning or lengthening my spine, my shoulders are rotating out just a little bit, and my elbows are drawing back just a little bit. Take a breath in, exhale, release. Good, if you want, you can bend the elbows or bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself back up, move the bolster out of the way. All right, good work. That was a very challenging pose and it's a lot of steps involved to prepare the body. But if we can understand those steps, then it makes it a lot easier when we show up to a group class setting to make choices for ourselves, because we can't always depend on the teacher to look out for us or to tell us what to do. We got to trust our instincts and we got to trust, okay, this is what my body's telling me. Based on that information, this is what I will do. Before you lie down, you're gonna grab your two blocks and we're gonna set them up so that we can get a little bit of release and kind of relaxation on the back, opening the chest. So you'll set up one block, either level 3 underneath your head and the block under your spine, level 2. I like the wide setting, but you can always take it long on your back as well. If you find that's too high, your second option is to drop it down a little bit. So you can bring the block under your head to level 2 and the block under your spine to level 1, okay? And again, you have that option if you want, you can take the block the longer setting. So find which one works best for you. And then you'll go ahead and plant your feet to the floor. And as you recline onto the first block, make sure it's hitting you right at the bottom of the shoulder blades. So if you need to, you can scoot down. If you have it the longer setting, it's basically going to go on the length of your spine and end right at the bottom of your rib cage. Otherwise, if it's too low, then you won't be able to lower your pelvis to the ground. As you lower your head to the second block, it might be a little awkward, especially if you're not used to having something supporting your head in this way. But see if you can set it up so the block is flat. And then you'll take your arms out wide like the letter T. As you take your arms out wide, allow your palms to turn up. So this is very restorative in essence and really relaxing. And you can take your feet and keep them planted. You can lengthen them out on the floor, or you can bring the soles of the feet together and butterfly the knees out wide. It might feel kind of nice, especially since we've been very active through the inner legs. We're going to be here for a couple breaths. Notice the rise of your breath, inhale. The fall of your breath as you exhale. And then if your soles of the feet are together and the knees are out wide, you can take your hands to the outside of your thighs and maybe close them in one at a time or together at the same time, like you're closing a book. Feet will plant down. So to get out of this, it's a little awkward, I'm not gonna lie. You can either roll off the blocks to one side or press yourself up, but you are gonna have to move the blocks out of the way. So out of those two options, find whichever one works for you. And once you set your blocks to the side, you're going to roll to the right side of your body. Pause in a fetal position. Now, if you don't like your head kind of dropping off and side bending like this, if it feels uncomfortable, you can grab either your pillow or bolster or your blanket and fold it up just so that your neck is supported. So from here, all you're going to do is get a little bit of movement in the shoulders and in the arms, the rotation in the spine in a very restorative way. So you'll slide the left arm forward. Notice your head is rotating down, your left shoulder is reaching forward, the arm is reaching forward. And then you'll slide the left arm back, and you want to just stop before the left elbow bends. And do that a couple more times. Good. So if you've ever done Hana Somatics or taken a Feldenkrais class, you might have done something like this. And one of my friends and teachers, Trina Altman, she is the one who introduced me to Feldenkrais work and Hana Somatics. And I use it a lot in my classes because it helps to calm the nervous system. The movements are very simple. They're all done or mostly done lying on the back. Some of them are sitting, but majority of them are lying down and are very rhythmic in essence. I like to use them to kind of warm up the body or to cool down the body. All right, so slide your left arm forward, and you want to try to keep your left fingertips in contact with the ground the entire time. So imagine you're drawing a rainbow over your head or a half circle over your head. And again, you're trying to draw with your fingertips on the floor. So we want to avoid lifting the hand off the mat. So you're going to slide or draw the left arm overhead. Notice my palm is rotated down. At a certain point though, I'm going to feel kind of stuck, right? So I'll need to rotate the palm up. I'll come open onto my back. So I'm in a supine twist. The left arm is out wide, the right arm is out wide, and you might notice a little chest stretch across the left side of the chest. And then you'll take your left hand to your left shoulder, slide that hand across, and go back to where you started. Let's take 3 more. Nice and slow. Just getting the sense of rhythm in the body. Calming down the mind. Preparing for Shavasana, meditation, stillness. Last one. All right. And then you'll just hug your knees to your chest and roll over to the other side. I'm going to just move my head to the other side of the mat. Otherwise, my back will be facing against you. But you'll just turn to the other side. If you do want to switch like I am, if it's easier to see your computer screen, then you can do this as well. All right. So now you're going to lie on the left side of your body. You'll stretch the arms out, palms on top of one another. Same thing here. I'm trying to just kind of ground my body downward. I'm going to slide my right arm forward as I inhale, rotating my chest down, face towards the bolster, and then slide my right hand back, just stopping before the right elbow starts to bend. And then keep going. Good. Last one. And we'll take those little rainbows, reaching the right arm along the wood floor overhead until you come into that twist. So again, I'm trying to drag my fingertips along the floor. Once I get stuck, I'm going to turn my palm up to face the ceiling. Arms go out wide. Big breath in. Exhale, right hand to right shoulder. I'll slide that hand across and I'll go back to where I started. Go ahead and continue moving on your own, taking 3 more. Last one. I might have done an extra one, but it always just feels so nice. And then once you have completed that final round, you can move the bolster out of the way and lie on your back. Once you lie all the way down, hug your knees to your chest, rock a little bit from side to side. Take your palms to your kneecaps and circle your thigh bones in opposite directions of one another, like egg beaters. And then take those circles in the other direction. And then lower your feet back down. Before we completely close out, take your arms by your side. Cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. So you're in a supine figure 4. And then drop your legs towards your left. And as you drop the legs over, you might notice a little bit of a stretch going down your right thigh. And if you're not feeling it, then you can start to guide your right knee a little bit more towards the middle front portion of your yoga mat. However, if that puts unnecessary pressure on the knee, meaning that it just feels painful or it feels like it's stressful, then you'll just readjust, come back to where you were. And even if you don't feel the stretch in the quad, that's okay. You might notice something else. Maybe you explore a sensation on the right side of the body or just opening across the chest. So again, there's never one answer. Our bodies are all different. So just notice what you're experiencing. And then slowly come back to center. Unwind your left ankle from the right thigh and switch sides. Slowly drop your legs to the right. Again, notice what you notice. If you would like to see what it's like to guide your left knee towards the front middle portion of your mat, go ahead. But if you find it doesn't work, maybe you're feeling unnecessary pinching or pain in the inner knee, then just go back to where you were. And again, you might be surprised. Maybe there's another sensation that comes up that I didn't even explain, right? Because, like I said, we all explore things differently. Take 2 more cycles of breath. And then come back to center. Unwind your legs. You can windshield wiper them a little bit from side to side. Good. And then come into happy baby pose. Draw your knees towards your shoulders. You can grab your legs from the outside. So you can grab behind your thighs, behind your calves, or the bottoms of your feet from the outside. Or you can grab from the inside. And if you are grabbing your feet, there's 2 options that I find feel very different. Again, this is all in my own experience and from just seeing how other students of mine experience happy baby. So what you can do is if you're grabbing your feet on the inside, is you'll keep your knees wide, but you'll bring your heels together. You'll pull your hands down, but you'll push your feet up. And you might get a release in the lower back. Not guaranteed, but you might. Another option is to grab your feet from the outside, Knees will draw down, soles of the feet will be together, but notice my feet are about same width as my knees. And you might get a little bit of a stretch in the inner thighs, the backs of the inner hamstrings, and you can play with lengthening into your legs one at a time or maybe both at the same time. But again, just kind of exploring here and seeing what works. Maybe it feels good to just rock a little bit from side to side. And then go ahead and release, lowering your feet to the ground. All right. So I always encourage you to explore on your mat, to be open to the idea of learning and understanding our own processes. And that includes Shavasana. So if you find lying in the traditional Shavasana, legs long, arms wide, just doesn't feel good in your body, try something else. You have tons of props beside you, right? So maybe you take your bolster and slide it under your knees so your back is a little bit more supported. Maybe you take your blanket and place it under your head like a pillow. You can do that. You don't have to, okay? So you have endless options here. But once you find a place that feels comfortable in your own body, then close your eyes or at least soften your gaze. Rest your hands either by your side or on your belly. And again, you don't have to stay on your back if it doesn't work for you. You can sit, or you can lie on your belly. Just like how we started, even though there's no strap around your rib cage, I want you to visualize that there is and sense that there is, almost like a balloon inflating and deflating. Notice that expansion. Notice that contraction. So important to remember that even though we're using the body as a means to practice yoga and to study ourselves, the point is not necessarily the poses. But sure, if we're going to do this work, we might as well do it in a way that's smart, safe, efficient, sustainable. And so that's why I wanted to teach the breakdown of Chaturanga Dandasana, so that when you are showing up in your practice, you can do those things, but you can do it in a way that honors you, that honors your body. And so, what have you learned through your practice? And how can you take this work here on your mat and translate it off of your mat in your everyday life? Take just 3 more cycles of breath. And then gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle the wrists and the ankles and stretch the arms overhead. Of course, if you would like to take a longer Shavasana, by all means, please do. You can pause the video or just continue letting me talk, and then you can come out of your Shavasana once you're ready. But if you are ready, then stretch the arms overhead. Find a big sigh, find a big yawn. And then hug your knees to your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. You can just push the bolster if you have it under your knees out of the way, and you can move the blanket out from under your head. Roll to one side of your body. Gently press yourself back up and meet me in a comfortable seated position. Bring your palms together in front of your chest. Eyes closed. Breath in and breath out. I thank you for taking this time to do some self-studying with me and to do some work here on your yoga mat. Bring your thumbs between your eyebrows. Let me close out by saying Namaste. Thank you.